This is Charlie Martinez, aka Old Man Charles _ X34, here with you with another video. And today's topic will be about how people that are on the autism spectrum have a harder time getting it diagnosed when they enter adulthood. I can't speak from experience what it's like to get an autism diagnosed when you're an adult, because I had mine when I had my pre-assessments and my diagnosed when I was younger, about 3 months after I was born in 1998. And from my perspective, personally, I think it's hard to get an autism diagnosed as an adult because it's hard to find those basic autism traits that you would see in a child, and which really draws into people trying to look towards evaluating children instead of adults most of the time. So it really drives away and makes this borderline age boundary where you're trying to focus on the children instead of the adults when it comes to diagnosing autism, and it really builds up this hardship for those adults that are on the autism spectrum, because we've been coping and we've been masking our whole lives that it's really hard to show our typical autism traits to people and display them to professionals or to doctors for whoever we need to get an assessment for to get proper diagnosed. And plus, some adults on the spectrum need these assessments and official diagnosis so they could get beneficial accommodations at work or at university or in college in general. And it's really beneficial if we get the autism diagnosed right away as an adult, because we face a lot of stigma towards being like self-diagnosing. When it comes to self-diagnosing autism, there's a lot of stigma there, because I've heard people separately say, if you believe you're autistic by heart, then you're autistic. And others are kind of against self-diagnosing because apparently, to those that have been professionally diagnosed, there's a trace of people that feel that apparently that it's unfair to those that were professionally diagnosed for those that claim to be diagnosed, because there's a lot of hard work that goes to the diagnosis assessment where you have to fill out paperwork, you need to be evaluated by a therapist or a counselor of some sort. And personally, from my perspective as a kid, I was evaluated a lot, and I had a lot of counselors, teachers, and speech therapists evaluate me and my vocabulary and speech language and how I behaved in school. And they really asked me questions on how I would act in social situations, or how would I handle this, how would I speak to someone this, and how would I handle a situation if I encountered a hostile or good or a very bad situation, how would I react, how would I handle it. And those are just assessments I took as a kid. And I really don't know how they assess you differently as a kid than an adult, but throughout my kindergarten and high school, I always had those assessments to further evaluate my behavior and my improvements as a person that's on the autism spectrum. And for real, I really advise you, for those of you seeking autism diagnosis in a late age of adulthood, to really evaluate your options and try to gather enough evidence and try to really put your case out there for doctor or profession to really see that you're on the spectrum, and really look forward to trying to find your own identity and self-validation to confirm that you're on the spectrum, because everyone deserves validation. No matter who you are, if you believe you're on the spectrum, then go prove your case and get that diagnosed and get your accommodations. That's all I have to say for tonight. Ciao.